Hey everybody, it's Brian. This is the first of my Hordes of War Machine YouTube battle reports. This is the start of a local Machinations League up in Myriad Games in Manchester, New Hampshire. This is my Circle Oberos in a 50-point game against Protectorate of Menoth. If anyone's who's familiar with like the special regions and scenarios and all that sort of stuff, um, we rolled up one where it was everyone outside of 12 inches of your warcaster got hit with a strength 6 kind of lightning bolt kind of thing. Um, I hadn't played in a while. I really screwed this up. There was a lot of things that went wrong in this battle report, so I warn you now. This is a very kind of big flashing noob alert kind of thing. Um, through a few of the stuff here, which I'll go through. Um, but it didn't really play that big of a deal, and thankfully, my opponent Mike was very gracious to just kind of not freak out, and he was very laid back and cool. So, anyways, here we get on with it. Starting from my advanced deployment, from the left to the right, we have a full unit of blood trackers with Nuala, a unit of shifting stones, a second unit of shifting stones with the Stonekeeper UA. The main battle line is a Wold Guardian, a Warpwolf Stalker, a full unit of Skinwalkers with the new Skinwalker Alpha. Megalith. Morvahna is leading this army, and a Druid Wilder is hanging out on the far right. Basically, the idea is the Skinwalkers and Megalith will kind of control their own flank off to one side, so that's why I have the Wilder over there. Onto the Protectorate army. You can't see the racks that he spread out, but if you look in the first photo, he had 3 racks and they were spread out pretty well. So I wanted a better picture of the more concentrated force. He has a couple Reckoners, a full unit of Zealots. He has the Avatar in there. The Zealots have that little Monofix bearer, a Reclaimer. I believe the Covenant of Menoth, pretty much referred to as the Book. The Blessing of Vengeance, full unit of Choir in the back there. There's a couple Vassal Mechanics. pSeverius is leading the army, hiding out there in the back. And that Nisia Tier of Vengeance is actually a Hierophant, the Warcaster attachment. So I apologize if I have some of these names screwed up. I'm not a Menoth player. Hopefully, I'll have this stuff. Hopefully, I don't butcher the names of these guys too horribly. Just a little bit. So then we go into my first turn, which, as first turns in Hordes of War Machine go, pretty much a lot of running. Pretty much blood trackers move up. I also had a Gallows Grove. It wasn't pictured, but if you look on the far right, you kind of see the Gallows Grove kind of messing up into that little stone idols terrain piece there. Some shifting stones shift up. Wold Guardian kind of trods his way in there. Stalker heads up. Morvahna's just moving up. Everyone's just moving up. It's just kind of how things go in the first turn. You can see Mike here moving up his big unit of Zealots. And we should go into the next picture, which has the ending of Mike's turn 2. Oh, this is more of a close-up of how things are going. I was even screwing up things like how their spells were being given out and stuff, but I actually, made sure that the blood trackers here actually have regrowth, which if anyone's familiar with Morvahna knows that this is kind of a staple of what she does. And here's kind of more of a pretty bad picture of the top part of Mike's army. You have the Reckoners. One of the Reckoners is on top of that hill behind that line of Zealots. I apologize for how horrible this picture is. A second Reckoner is just a base kind of leaning on the side of it, so it wouldn't keep falling over. And the Avatar has started to move over to my right to handle the Skinwalkers, who have been blessed with restoration. That Megalith keeps giving them out restoration, so they'll be at armor 18 or armor 20 once they're actually engaged, which for 8 boxes each and armor 20, They're quite a survivable little unit. So as we can go on to the next picture. Yeah, so here's kind of a better picture of how he ended things up. Um, he's at this point, the zealots have blessed themselves to so that they're not getting any damage at all. The reckoners have been kind of assaulting as they're moving, so they'll get their extra 3 inches, and they've been taking some pot shots at the stalker as it's advancing. The Wold Guardian with the Flush of Clan doesn't make it a very attractive target. So he's kind of been taking this time on hitting up the stalker. And next photo. In my turn, in response to the feat with the zealots, I didn't want to just throw up the blood trackers and just kind of bang their heads trying to do what little they can. So when I'm faced with a situation like this, I typically kind of take a step backwards. You know, and I don't just kind of do what the enemy wants me to do. So sometimes I'll take a turn and do very, very little and just kind of step back a little bit, reposition my forces a bit, try to get the unit matchups that I'm looking for. So yeah, this is what I was kind of doing here. Really, really bummed that the stalker's just kind of hanging out there in the middle. But with the limited terrain that I had, and I don't have swamp garbers. I very rarely use minions, so I had a very little chance to get the stalker actually in a prowling stealth situation. So you can kind of see here, this is the end of Mike's turn 2 or turn 3, I believe. One of the nice things about Hordes and War Machines, you don't really have to worry about that too much. The zealots just went freaking apeshit, throwing their bombs. The stalker's dead, as you can see. A lot of the blood trackers are dead. And this was also combined with some shooting by the reckoners as well. So there was just tons of shooting at my poor Ninja Wolf, the stalker. He tried to take some shots into like the Wold Guardian, kind of getting some splash damage as well with his bombs. Trying to do everything that he can to take out the blood trackers while he could. So that's why you'll see the Wold Guardian there with the corrosive fire marker on him. The Avatar came over, completely obliterated one of my skinwalkers. I wasn't too vexed about that too much. And my little Gallows Grove, as you can see on the left, is slowly sneaking around to hopefully take some, letting Morvahna arc some Eruption of Life into his back line, because I'm going to have to get through all those zealots in order to get the blood trackers back there, or have to think of something pretty creative. So next picture, we see now that I can actually start hurting the zealots, me start doing so. Thankfully, Morvahna did regrow about 4 or 5 blood trackers, and we went into the zealots like no man's business. Unfortunately, one thing I didn't talk about in the very, very beginning was the fact that the blood trackers, due to my stupidity, put their prey on one of the reckoners. So his squire was just walking around being like, no shooting, and my prey was just completely useless. That's why I don't really talk about it this game. I try not to think about it. It makes me very sad, Panda. So yeah, the blood trackers are doing their thing against the zealots, getting whatever quick work shots that they can. The positioning was kind of bad, so I wasn't able to do that much. However, if you look just to the left of Megalith, where he's standing, I was able to regrow some blood trackers in that empty area, so that now I can start sending them into the back line. Hopefully, start getting some Weapon Master shots into pSeverius, or at least into the vassals. You know, the choir, a lot of the important support pieces. The Wold Guardian got teleported up with the shifting stone, started laying some hurt down on one of the Reckoners. Wasn't able to destroy it, unfortunately. You can also see on the right, Megalith got shifted over behind the Avatar, did some swinging. The Skinwalkers charged into the Avatar, did little to nothing against them. One of the only things that kind of was good in this turn, Morvahna was able to arc an Eruption of Life through the Gallows Grove into a Vassal Mechanic and a couple choir members behind the Reckoner on the hill, that little brass ring there. That's where you can see that the Eruption of Life ended up. This is kind of a better shot of my poor Skinwalkers trying to do anything to the Avatar. I think he has Defender's Ward up on him, and the Avatar just being the Avatar, they're literally just tar pitting him. I kind of wish Megalith wasn't in there, and that he was just having to kill one Skinwalker a turn, so that Megalith could help out with that poor unsupported Wold Guardian. But as things were, the reason why the Megalith and Skinwalkers were together, so that Megalith lays down his Undergrowth Animus, giving everything -2 defense, and then hopefully the Skinwalkers with their 2 attacks each due to Rapid Strike should hopefully start clearing things out. Unfortunately, the Avatar was probably the best thing that Mike could have done. It would have just been like, all right, you are going to be useless for this entire game. Next up is Mike's retaliation after my turn. Thankfully, one of the wonderful things with Morvahna and her having Harvest up is that she can spend a lot, and as long as you use her activation early and you do other people's activations to start killing other things, she can get that Fury back so she can end her turn on a fair amount of transfers. That's why she's sitting there with 6 transfers right now. Not because of the fact that I didn't do anything with her, but because of Harvest, using the blood trackers afterwards, after Morvahna did her Eruption of Life's silliness, she was able to sit there with some more fury. So as you can see on the hill, both of the Reckoners destroyed my Wold Guardian. pSeverius has moved up onto the hill behind them. He's kind of getting away from those blood trackers that have slowly started to break through the Zealot line, as it were. He also ran over a Blessing of Vengeance to arc pSeverius's damaging spell. I forget what it was onto Morvahna. I believe it missed, or if it hit, it didn't. I probably just transferred it away over to Megalith. It wasn't really that big of a deal, so thankfully it wasn't that much of a problem. Next photo is more of him also clogging up the lanes with the Covenant of Menoth, a couple more Zealots, a Vassal, just trying to gum up the works so that the blood trackers can't get into the back lines and start throwing some javelins into pSeverius. Where he has sickly old man stats, he can't really hold up well at all. And as you can see, the Skinwalkers are still holding up the Avatar along with Megalith. And thankfully, if anyone knows how regrowth goes, when it became my turn, when I was regrowing some blood trackers, they only have to be within 3 inches of the unit and still in formation. So with Nuala being where she is in this photo, I put them behind the Zealots so then they could start going in and start throwing their javelins into the back line. So that when they see in the next photo, you see that there are a couple Zealots there. Or not a couple Zealots, a couple blood trackers there. One of them attacked a choir member that was next to the Monolith Bearer, and then another blood tracker ran up, threw her javelin into pSeverius, but missed. Also, you can see here, blood trackers still doing it out with Zealots. Why I didn't make Zealots my prey target is beyond me. I also put a couple blood trackers kind of in the way of hopefully thinking that for some reason they can stall the Reckoners and the Blessing of Vengeance from getting to Morvahna. And also another one of the great noob idiot moves I made. If you look on the far right, there's a skinwalker who moved up to try to kill either the Covenant, which I realize now is a useless attempt to do, or the Vassal to help free up these blood trackers, one of them being Nuala. So I move them over there, and then I start doing things with Megalith, and I realize that now that all those skinwalkers can attack. So I realize now this is getting into a bad spot. So in a last-ditch effort, Morvahna, using the Gallows Grove again, shot a Eruption of Life into a choir member that was standing next to pSeverius. It exploded, power 13 on Severus, and I rolled 666s for damage, which is great, which is amazing. Kills him outright. Hooray! Come from behind win for Circle. Mike was not too pleased with this at all, and I realized afterwards that this was actually an illegal move. I couldn't have boosted this because the extra damage from the tree erupting from Eruption of Life, it cannot be boosted. So instead of doing 17 points of damage, I only should have done 11. pSeverius still would have been alive. Most likely, the Warjacks would have just trampled over after getting allocated some focus and literally just beat Morvahna into the ground. So, I mean, technically, you know, I won due to ignorance on my end, and just kind of being overexcited. Like, oh, I might have him this time, and then you go through and you do something wrong. And a couple days after, when I told Mike, no, you really should have won because of this, and he was like, whatever, it's fine, it's not that big of a deal. So technically, it's a tainted win. I'm not even really going to count this as any sort of win or anything like that for any sort of official anything, I guess you could say. It was me having a lot of noob moments, just being really dumb and doing things I shouldn't have. But thankfully, Mike was a good sport about it. He realized it was a fluke as much as I did. And Mike promptly was like, hey, do you want to get another game in? And he kind of had that look in his eye that he really wanted another game in. So I obliged him. So the next battle report I have up is this exact same list for a Circle, except Mike pulls out E Fiora. So clearly he is not too pleased with me, and E Fiora is going to be exacting vengeance on poor cheated Severus. But that's all I have for now. Like I said, next game's going to be coming up hopefully shortly, and lots of other stuff like tournament reports, things of that nature. You know, for new product reviews, whatever tactical advice anyone dares to listen to me about. Which after this game you may want to rethink that. But yeah, so hopefully you should have a lot more. I'm really excited to start doing these, and hopefully you guys will come along and like and subscribe and all that YouTube bullshit that everyone begs you to do. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.